The demand. The story opens in 2387, 300 years after humanity first reached the stars. Earth and its 73 colonies had been quietly building their civilization when the massive shadow ships arrived without warning. The galactic empires. Fleet hung like dark clouds over Earth's major cities. Their ships were enormous, each one the size of a small moon, made from some black metal that seemed to absorb light itself. The aliens inside called themselves the Dominion, and they had ruled this part of the galaxy for over 10,000 years. Captain Ryan Blake stood on the command deck of the Earth Defense Station, watching the alien vessels through the viewing port. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his hands gripped the rail tightly. Around him, junior officers whispered nervously as reports came in from across the solar system. The aliens had positioned ships near every major human world. The Dominion's message was simple and direct. A hologram of their leader, Commander Vex, appeared in the center of Earth's Global Council chamber. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Primitive species of Sol 3, Vex began, using their term for Earth. "You have been living in our territory without permission. The Galactic Dominion claims all systems within 50 light-years of the galactic core. Your worlds fall under our rule." The human leaders sat in stunned silence. President Maria Santos, a former military officer herself, was the first to speak. "We were not aware of any territorial claims. Our species has inhabited these worlds for generations." Vex's laugh was cold and mechanical. "Ignorance is not an excuse. You will pay tribute to the Empire. Each of your worlds must provide 1 million tons of refined metals, 100,000 units of food, and 50,000 of your people as workers. You have 30 standard days to comply." The transmission ended, leaving the human leaders in shocked silence. The demands were impossible. Even if humanity stripped every mine and farm bare, they could not meet such requirements. And the demand for people, it was slavery, pure and simple. Captain Blake watched from his station as the alien ships held their positions. Long-range sensors showed their weapon systems, energy cannons that could crack planets and shields that had never been breached in 1,000 years of conquest. The Dominion had crushed hundreds of species with these same tactics, but the aliens had made one critical error. They assumed humanity would react like every other species they had conquered, with fear and submission. They did not understand what they had awakened. In the depths of Luna Base, Admiral James Ward called an emergency meeting of the Solar Defense Command. The underground facility buzzed with activity as military leaders from across human space gathered via secure channels. Ward was old, his hair white from decades of service, but his eyes burned with fierce determination. "Gentlemen and ladies," Ward began, "we have a choice. We can bow to these aliens and watch our civilization become their slaves, or we can fight." Colonel Lisa Park, commander of the Mars Defense Fleet, spoke up. "Admiral, their ships are massive. Our largest vessels are like insects compared to them." Ward smiled grimly. "Size isn't everything, Colonel. These aliens have ruled through fear for 10 millennia. They've grown soft, lazy. They expect quick surrender and easy victory. They don't know what human determination looks like." The Admiral activated a holographic display showing the alien fleet positions. "They've made a tactical mistake. They're spread thin, trying to intimidate all our worlds at once, and they're sitting still, confident in their superiority." Deep in the asteroid belt, automated mining stations had been working for decades. But these weren't ordinary mines. They were part of humanity's greatest secret. Project Steel Rain had been building for 50 years, hidden in the depths of space where no alien scouts had bothered to look. As the 30-day deadline approached, humanity appeared to be preparing for surrender. Ships moved between worlds carrying what looked like tribute cargo. Alien scanners detected metals and supplies being loaded, exactly what the Dominion expected to see. But hidden within those cargo holds were the first components of humanity's response. The Steel Fleet was about to be born. The aliens waited in their massive ships, satisfied that another primitive species would soon join their empire. They had no idea that humanity had spent generations preparing for this exact moment, the day when someone would try to make them kneel. Commander Vex reviewed the tribute preparations with satisfaction. In just days, these humans would learn their place in the galaxy's natural order, just like all the others before them. He could not have been more wrong. The hidden arsenal, while the Dominion ships maintained their threatening positions above human worlds, the real activity was happening in the darkness between the stars. The asteroid belt, which the aliens had dismissed as worthless rock, concealed humanity's greatest achievement. Admiral Ward's shuttle docked with mining station Omega-7, a facility that officially extracted rare metals from nearby asteroids. But as the airlock cycled and Ward stepped inside, he entered something far more significant than any mine. The station's outer shell was real enough. Automated systems did harvest minerals from the rocks. But the interior had been hollowed out and transformed into something the galaxy had never seen. The central chamber stretched for kilometers in every direction, filled with the skeletal frames of ships under construction. These were not the sleek vessels that protected human colonies. They were something entirely different. Each ship was barely 200 meters long, built for speed and firepower rather than comfort or long-term operations. Chief Engineer Tom Baker met Ward at the observation deck, his face grimy from years of work in the hidden shipyards. "Admiral, the final batch is coming online now. We have 1,200 ships ready with another 300 finishing in the next 72 hours. Ward studied the vessels below. They looked deadly, even while docked. Angular hulls covered in weapon ports, engines designed for maximum acceleration, and armor plating that incorporated every advance human science had made. "And the crews?" "Volunteers from across the colonies," Baker replied. "Military pilots, civilian spacers, even some who've never left their home worlds. They all want to fight." The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since their first encounter with alien technology 2 centuries earlier. A crashed scout ship near Proxima Centauri had provided crucial intelligence about galactic civilization. The wreckage revealed that most spacefaring species built massive ships designed to intimidate and control. Their vessels were huge but slow, powerful but clumsy. Humanity chose a different path. The Steel Fleet ships sacrificed everything for speed and striking power. Each vessel carried enough firepower to cripple ships 10 times their size, and engines that could accelerate them to velocities that would tear apart larger vessels. Captain Beth Rivers stood on the bridge of her ship, the Defiance watching her crew run final system checks. Her vessel was typical of the Steel Fleet, a crew of just 30, weapons that could punch through the heaviest armor, and the ability to reach combat speed faster than anything the Dominion had ever faced. "Navigation online," called out Lieutenant Mark Davis from his station. "All weapon systems green. Engine room reports ready for maximum burn." Rivers nodded, studying the tactical display. Intelligence reports showed the Dominion ships still holding their positions, confident and unprepared. The aliens expected either surrender or a desperate attack by humanity's known defense fleets, the larger, slower vessels that protected the colonies. They had no idea that 1,500 ships were about to emerge from the darkness. Meanwhile, on Earth, the surrender preparations continued as planned. Transport ships loaded with what appeared to be tribute cargo departed from every major world, heading toward designated collection points. The Dominion monitored these movements with satisfaction, seeing exactly what they expected from a defeated species. But hidden within the cargo holds were the final components needed for the attack: fuel cells, ammunition, and specialized equipment that would be distributed to the Steel Fleet at hidden rendezvous points throughout the solar system. President Santos addressed the Global Council one final time before the deadline. "The aliens believe they have broken us," she said to the assembled leaders. "They think we are weak because we avoided conflict, because we built gardens instead of weapons. They are about to learn that humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt and overcome." The Steel Fleet pilots received their final briefings in the depths of space. The plan was audacious in its simplicity. Hit the alien ships simultaneously across all human systems, strike fast and hard, then disappear before the enemy could respond. Traditional tactics against overwhelming odds called for defense and attrition. Humanity would attack with everything they had, betting their entire civilization on one coordinated strike. As the deadline approached, Commander Vex prepared to receive the tribute that would mark another species' submission to the Dominion. His massive flagship hung above Earth like a monument to 10,000 years of conquest. The ship's sensors detected the approaching human transports, confirming that the primitives had accepted their fate. In just hours, the galaxy would witness something unprecedented, the moment when humanity's steel resolve met the Empire's iron fist. The Dominion expected submission. They were about to face revolution. First strike. The attack began at exactly 0300 Universal Standard Time across all human systems simultaneously. In the depths of space, 1,500 ships of the Steel Fleet dropped their stealth screens and ignited their engines in perfect coordination. Captain Rivers felt the defiant surge forward as her ship accelerated at forces that would have crushed the crew of a Dominion vessel. Human engineering and training allowed her people to endure accelerations that alien physiology could not match. Within minutes, her ship was moving at speeds the enemy had never encountered in combat. Target acquired, Lieutenant Davis reported from the navigation station. Dominion heavy cruiser bearing 27 Mark 8. Range decreasing rapidly. The alien ship was massive, over 3 kilometers of black metal bristling with weapons designed to intimidate rather than fight swift opponents. Its crew had detected the approaching human vessels, but their weapon systems were designed for long-range bombardment of planets and slow-moving targets. Rivers watched the tactical display as dozens of Steel Fleet ships converged on the alien vessel from multiple angles. All ships coordinate targeting. Hit them where it counts. The human ships opened fire as one, their weapons designed specifically to exploit weaknesses in Dominion technology. Particle beams sliced through alien armor, while kinetic rounds punched deep into critical systems. The enemy ship's shields, powerful enough to deflect planetary bombardment, proved useless against the concentrated firepower of weapons designed for precision rather than raw destruction. Above Earth, Commander Vex watched in growing alarm as his fleet came under attack from vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. His flagship shuddered as human weapons found their mark, systems failing throughout the massive ship. "Report," he commanded, his forearms working frantically at his control station. "Unknown vessels attacking from all vectors," his tactical officer replied. "Small ships extremely fast. Our weapons cannot track them effectively." Vex stared at the displays in disbelief. For 10,000 years, the Dominion had crushed resistance through overwhelming size and firepower. Their ships were fortresses that could withstand any attack while delivering devastating counterstrikes. But these human vessels moved like fighters while hitting like battleships, striking vital systems and disappearing before return fire could reach them. The Steel Fleet had trained for this exact scenario, coordinated strikes against overwhelming odds. Each ship knew its role, its target, and its escape route. They hit the alien vessels where sensors indicated critical systems, communications arrays, weapon control centers, and engine assemblies. Captain Blake, watching from Earth Defense Station, saw the tide of battle shift in humanity's favor within the first 30 minutes. "Dominion flagship is showing massive system failures," his sensor officer reported. 3 of their heavy cruisers are dead in space, but the most devastating blow came from an unexpected source. The human transport ships that had been carrying apparent tribute cargo suddenly dropped their disguises. Hidden within their holds were the newest weapons in humanity's arsenal, gravity mines that created localized space distortions. The mines activated simultaneously around the largest Dominion ships, creating gravitational fields that twisted the alien vessels' massive hulls beyond their structural limits. Ships that had survived 1,000 battles across the galaxy found themselves torn apart by forces their designers had never anticipated. Within 2 hours, the battle was over. Of the 67 Dominion ships that had arrived to collect tribute, only 12 managed to escape. The rest were either destroyed or disabled, their crews captured or killed. The survivors fled in panic, carrying news of humanity's resistance back to the Empire's core worlds. Admiral Ward received reports from across human space as the Steel Fleet regrouped. Colony worlds report successful defense operations, his communications officer announced. Enemy forces have been neutralized or driven off from all major systems. The victory came at a cost. Humanity had lost nearly 200 ships and 3,000 crew members, but they had proven something that the galaxy had forgotten, that the Dominion could be beaten, that their massive ships and ancient authority were not invincible. President Santos addressed the human worlds in a broadcast that would reach every colony within days. Today we faced an enemy that has terrorized the galaxy for millennia. They came expecting submission. Instead, they found the steel resolve of free humanity. News of the battle spread quickly through underground networks of enslaved species across the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, there was proof that the Dominion could be defeated. Rebellion began to stir in systems that had been crushed under alien rule for generations. But humanity's leaders knew this was only the beginning. They had struck the first blow against an empire that controlled thousands of worlds and trillions of beings. The Dominion would not accept this defeat quietly. The empire was coming, and they would bring everything they had. The empire strikes back 6 months after the first battle. The true scope of humanity's challenge became clear. Long-range sensors detected the approaching Dominion response, a fleet of over 3,000 ships led by the Empire's most feared commander, War Master Krell. Unlike the tribute collectors who had first approached human space, this was a military force designed for conquest and extermination. The ships were larger, newer, and equipped with weapons that had reduced entire civilizations to ash. Intelligence reports suggested that Krell had never lost a campaign in 500 years of service to the Empire. Admiral Ward stood in the command center of Fortress Luna, humanity's primary military facility hidden within the moon's core. The room buzzed with activity as officers coordinated defenses across 73 worlds. The Steel Fleet had grown to over 2,000 ships, but they would face overwhelming odds. Enemy force will reach our outer defenses in 18 days, reported Colonel Park, now commanding the expanded fleet operations. Their advanced scouts are already probing our patrol routes. Ward studied the tactical projections with growing concern. The Dominion had learned from their first defeat. This fleet moved in tight formations that prevented the hit-and-run tactics that had proven so effective. They had deployed sensor networks that made stealth approaches nearly impossible. Captain Rivers, promoted to lead the first strike squadron after her success in the initial battle, reviewed intelligence reports on the enemy commander. War Master Krell was known for his methodical approach to conquest. He would establish complete sensor coverage, eliminate all mobile defenses, then systematically destroy population centers until surrender was offered. He's not making the same mistakes as the tribute fleet, Rivers observed during the senior staff briefing. This force is designed to counter everything we used against them. The first engagement occurred near Proxima Station, humanity's outermost defensive post. A patrol of 30 Steel Fleet ships encountered Dominion advanced scouts, vessels nearly as fast as human ships but far more heavily armored. The battle was brutal and swift. Lieutenant Commander Jake Walsh led his squadron in a desperate running fight through the asteroid fields near Proxima. His ship, the Vengeance, had taken severe damage but continued fighting alongside the surviving human vessels. "They're adapting faster than we expected," Walsh reported over the tactical network as his ships retreated. New shield configurations, improved targeting systems. These aren't the same ships we fought 6 months ago. The human forces fell back to prepared positions throughout the solar system, but Krell's advance continued relentlessly. The War Master had brought construction ships to establish fortified bases in captured systems, turning each victory into a permanent foothold for further conquest. On Earth, President Santos faced the hardest decision of her career. Military advisors recommended evacuation of non-essential populations to the outer colonies, but intelligence suggested that Krell would pursue humanity across the galaxy if necessary. "We stand and fight here," Santos declared during an emergency session of the Global Council. "If we run now, we'll spend the rest of our existence running. This is where we make our stand." The decisive battle began when Krell's main fleet entered the outer solar system. 3,000 Dominion ships advanced in perfect formation. their weapons charged and ready to begin the systematic destruction of human civilization. But humanity had spent 6 months preparing for this moment. The asteroid belt had been transformed into a maze of hidden fortifications, weapons platforms, and missile launchers. Every piece of space debris had been weaponized or turned into a sensor relay. Captain Rivers led 800 steel fleet ships in the opening attack, striking from concealment within the asteroid field. But this time the Dominion was ready. Their point defense systems had been upgraded, their formations designed to provide mutual support. The battle raged for 3 days as human forces fought desperately to prevent the alien advance. Ships died by the hundreds on both sides as the superior Dominion firepower met humanity's tactical ingenuity and desperate courage. The Steel Storm. The salvation of humanity came from an unexpected source, the enslaved species that had witnessed the first human victory 6 months earlier. While Krell's fleet advanced on Earth, rebellions erupted across 30 Dominion systems as oppressed civilizations rose against their ancient masters. Admiral Ward received the first reports just as Earth's orbital defenses began failing under enemy bombardment. "Sir, we're getting communications from the Altair system. The locals have seized Dominion supply bases and are requesting military assistance." Similar messages flooded in from across the galaxy. The Zentani, enslaved for 800 years, had captured 3 Dominion shipyards. The rocky Theron had collapsed the main hyperspace relay in their system, cutting off an entire sector from Imperial command. War Master Krell found his carefully planned campaign disrupted by supply shortages and communication failures. Ships that should have been reinforcing his attack on Earth were instead fighting desperate battles to maintain control over rebellious worlds. But the most significant development was happening in the outer reaches of human space, where the survivors of other failed rebellions had been hiding for decades. Captain Alex Stone, commanding the rebuilt resistance ship Freedom, made contact with scattered refugee fleets throughout the region. "This is our chance," Stone broadcast on all frequencies. "The humans have proven the Empire can be beaten. Join us, and we can drive them back to their core worlds." The response exceeded all expectations. Within days, nearly 1,000 ships of various alien designs converged on human space, vessels from dozens of species that had fled Dominion conquest over the centuries. They brought advanced technologies, tactical knowledge, and most importantly, proof that humanity was not alone in their struggle. Captain Rivers, commanding the remnants of the Steel Fleet, coordinated the largest space battle in galactic history. Human ships fought alongside Zentani energy specialists, Theron rock haulers converted into missile platforms, and sleek Varani scouts that could match even the Steel Fleet for speed. The combined fleet struck Krell's forces from 3 directions simultaneously. While the War Master had planned for human tactics, he had not prepared for the diverse combat styles of multiple species working in coordination. Zentani energy weapons designed to slice through asteroid fields, carved through Dominion armor like it was paper. Theron ships, built to survive in hostile environments, endured damage that would have destroyed human vessels while delivering devastating close-range attacks. President Santos watched from Earth's command bunker as the tide of battle turned. "Multiple Dominion ships breaking off their attack runs," her military aide reported. "Enemy forces are regrouping in defensive formations." For the first time in the campaign, Krell's fleet was retreating. The War Master stared at his tactical displays in disbelief as ships he had commanded for centuries fell to weapons and tactics he had never encountered. These humans had done more than defeat a Dominion fleet. They had united the galaxy's outcasts into an effective fighting force. The final phase of the battle lasted 18 hours as the Allied fleet pursued Krell's retreating forces across the solar system. Ship after ship fell to coordinated attacks as human tactical coordination combined with alien technological advantages. War Master Krell made his final stand near Jupiter, his flagship surrounded by the last 100 ships of his once mighty fleet. He activated his personal communicator, transmitting directly to the human command center. "Admiral Ward of the human fleet." Krell's voice carried exhaustion and grudging respect. "You have achieved something unprecedented in galactic history. My forces are defeated, my campaign has failed, but know this. The Empire has resources beyond your imagination. This victory will bring consequences you cannot foresee. Ward's response was broadcast across all frequencies so that every ship in both fleets could hear it. War Master Krell, we understand the risks, but freedom is worth any price, and we will pay it gladly. Return to your empire and tell them that the age of submission is ending. The surviving Dominion ships departed under terms that guaranteed safe passage in exchange for complete withdrawal from human space. As they disappeared into hyperspace, celebrations erupted across the Allied fleet and throughout human territory. But the real victory was not measured in ships destroyed or territory defended. In the months that followed, rebellion spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had accepted Dominion rule for millennia suddenly found the courage to resist. The human example proved that the Empire's power was not absolute. Within a year, the Galactic Dominion had lost control of over 200 systems. The great empire that had ruled for 10,000 years found itself fighting desperate battles to maintain control of its core territories. And at the center of it all, humanity's Steel Fleet patrolled the spaceways, no longer defending just their own worlds but serving as protectors of freedom throughout the galaxy. The species that had once faced extinction for refusing to pay tribute had become the catalyst for the greatest liberation in galactic history. The Empire had demanded submission. Instead, they had awakened the sleeping giant of free will itself.